Alright guys, this video is from Wednesday, June 7th. Started off fishing at about 11 a.m. Fished 11 to about 4. This is the first fish that I caught. It was about a I think it was the third cast that I made at a spot kind of just around the bend. It was by a laydown and some shade. All fish here, as you see, that was caught on a half-ounce Z-Man chatterbait perch color, and I was using a reaction strike paddle tail. It was like a multi-ribbed paddle tail, so specifically using that one just because the water was real stained. So I wanted, try to get as much vibration as I could. Didn't get a measurement on this one. It was, I don't know if I was to guess, probably about 15 range. I caught 5 fish this day. All of them except one were in the 15 to 17 inch range. I did get a measurement on the rest on my paddle. The other one, it was smaller. It was about 12 and a half. But it was nice to catch that first one, within 3 casts. Good to build confidence, although sometimes that could be the downfall. You catch that first fish fast, and then you may not catch anything for the rest of the day, or it takes a long time, which kind of is what happened here. The winds this day were horrible. Up next, you're going to see a second fish. This fish, I don't know what happened with my action camera, but it did not record this. I did at least get a picture with my cell phone, so you see that posted. Now this is actually across the lake along another shoreline from where I was first at. The wind was horrible this day. They were hitting gusts of like 15 miles per hour. I was getting blown all over, so I decided to paddle across the lake and use that opposite shoreline kind of as cover to at least reduce some of the wind. So it was definitely better on this side. I normally like to fish the wind-blowing shorelines just because it does tend to bring bait fish in. And then, of course, have the bigger fish following, but it was too much, so I went to this other shoreline that was kind of protected from the wind. And this is where I caught 4 out of my 5 fish, and the 2 that I missed were also all along the shoreline as well. So it definitely ended up being a good move. I mean, the second fish that I caught, that the picture that was on, that was about 2 hours after my first one, so it did take a while to hook into another one. But from that point on, it was pretty successful. So you're seeing, I'm reeling in the third fish right here, and this one was actually caught on a ledge. See, I'm using the net in between the second and third fish that I caught. I had actually lost one right by the side of the kayak. I went to lip him. He ran a little bit of line out, jumped, and spit the hook. So from that point on, I wasn't taking any more chances. Decided to just use the net to get him in. I had it with me anyways. Why not use it? So you can see this is decent sized fish, nothing huge. Again, I think this was either 16 or 17 inches, this one. And as I was saying, I caught this one on a ledge, along with fishing, obvious structure that I could see, such as laydowns and shade. I was also using my Ray Marine Dragonfly 7 Pro to fish underwater structure and changes, such as ledges. And that actually turned out to be a pretty successful pattern that I was looking for today, an obvious pattern nonetheless. But the ledges along this shoreline, would go, you'd have maybe about a foot of water by right next to shore, and it'd gradually get a little bit deeper. It'd get to about the 2 to 3 foot range, and then you'd have drop-offs from 7 to 9 feet, all within pretty close, pretty close distance to shore. And that's where I was finding a lot of these fish. So not all the laydowns, some of that water was so shallow that it wasn't holding fish. It was a little bit difficult fishing all the laydowns that I wanted to. There was a lot of spots that were less than a foot of water. Water levels have been drastically down here. We haven't been getting a lot of rain in the Chicagoland area, so having that fish finder to find structure was definitely key as well. It did help. So I have 3 fish in the bag at that point. 1 missed, paddling out, still fishing the same shoreline, and same bait too. half-ounce Z-Man chatterbait, perch color, reaction strike paddle tail with the ribs. And I ended up sticking with that most of the day. The chatterbaits are my confidence bait. I always bring, a fair amount of lures with me while I'm out on the kayak. But the chatterbaits are my go-to. That's what I start off with. And it's funny because a lot of times I don't even end up getting to these other lures that I bring with because I end up having success with the chatterbait and I stick with it. If I'm having success with something, I'm not as likely that I'm going to be switching up, bouncing around lures. And even if I go for a little while, like I went for, it was like a 2 hour period without catching, anything, I have so much confidence in this bait that I know I'm going to end up getting hit again at another point. And it worked out, like I said, after that first one, it was a 2 hour window, but I ended up catching 4 more and missing 2 more. So here is my fourth fish that I'm bringing in. Again, using the net, not taking any chances. Before this fourth fish, too, I had actually missed another one. This one I didn't get right next to the kayak. I did have him on. He jumped and spit the hook. I was right in the same area, so this could have been the same fish that jumped and spit it the first time. A lot of times if you get them on the hook set, though, and you have them, you're reeling in, and they give a fight. I know my own personal experiences, they often don't bite again right after. So this could have been, another fish that was in the same area, which is what I'm leaning towards. This again was in the, I think, 16 inches. So they were hitting this bait. They were definitely hitting it hard. And my hook sets were all on the top lip. So perfect hook sets right where you want them. And let's see, I think I actually do an underwater release on this one. I do. So in this one too, I was in a little cove area, fishing laydowns. The water was a lot calmer. See the fish swim off. Water was a lot calmer. So even though it was still stained, I was able to get better shots of the underwater releases. This one right here is going to be my fifth and final one. My camera battery was getting low, so I didn't want it running while I was fishing. So after I got the hook set, got them in, net and netted, I then turned the camera on to get some footage of it. And this was I think this was the smaller one. This was a 12.5 or 13-inch one. So smallest of the day. And this was shortly before I left too. I was actually starting to paddle back. I was hitting a few more spots before I was going to leave. And this one was caught in the shade as well. It was getting pretty hot out there. As you can see in the footage, the sun was getting pretty intense, really beaten down. So I assume, just like that last one, these fish were trying to find shade. You can see the shade along the shoreline right there. Another underwater release on this. So as you see right there, there's shade all along the shoreline, and I actually found him right in the shade. So all fish were being found this day where they were supposed to be, whether it was laydowns, ledges, in shaded areas, that one fish being in a nice little cove. So it was a good day out on the water. Along with this, at one point, I had seen a struggle on top of the water. I thought it was a fish having a hard time swimming. When I paddled up, it turned out to be a snapping turtle. So when checking him out, I seen that he had fishing line coming from him. I'll show some pictures here. He had a fishing line and the hook in his like armpit. So I removed the hook out of him, got him to swim off healthy. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Please remember, subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, share if you like to. Tight lines. Until next time.